So let's move on to let's move on to one more issue before we close. And this is an issue that happened in Parliament. I want us to take a listen to our parliamentary correspondent on this issue.
I take a very serious view of the matter raised. Apart from the recognition and permission granted by the Speaker, members of the Parliamentary Press Corps will be strangers in this honorable house. In other words, they have our permission to be here by dint of their profession and the work expected of them, and we regard them very, very highly. I want to make it clear that as much as they may give interviews before or after the plenary and the proceedings inside this honorable house, and which interview or contribution could be from the majority or the minority, any day, it is forbidden, if they have any doubt, to abandon the permission given them to cover proceedings in this honorable house and go outside the chamber itself and do some other work other than coming to cover proceedings in this honorable house. We have a saying in our Tree language, and suddenly father. If you don't understand, please beg for assistance and understand. And this is very, very important. And honorable members, our democracy must be developing. And I feel very sad when references are made from whatever angle to those things that may or may not have happened in the past, which have nothing to do with me anyway today. So let us make progressive development in such a manner that we should not be slaves of the evil practices of the past, if any.
Mr. Speaker, I've noted the concern raised by the majority leader, but you know, the deer doesn't laugh at the mother's teeth. I said the deer doesn't laugh at his mother's teeth. You are here once upon a time in the minority, and you are there as majority, and probably tomorrow you'll be here again. The clock will always change. I agree that the media should be dutiful to this parliament and to this house, and therefore the media behave in a manner that you are serving the institution of parliament and not any individual member of parliament. Mr. Speaker, it does not lie within the majority leader to determine who holds what conference when. That is why we are elected representatives. We are entitled to media, not just the parliamentary media. So, dutifully the media, be dutiful to the institution of parliament and be reminded by his past antecedents. The media be guided by his past antecedents, sitting here as minority leader. In what you do, whether those antecedents serve this house or serve his purpose as leader of the minority then. posterity is always a better judge. But I agree with you that the media must be up and doing. They should cover the proceedings of Parliament. Indeed, his invitation must extend to even the Minister for Information. That is why GBC is doing pretty well to cover, as they are doing, under their governance channel. And I'm sure they did, to be fair to them.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you.
Mr. Abdul-Aziz, you are a sitting member of Parliament, Mr. Kokofu. Yes, you've been there before.
Yes.
Why are journalists also members of Parliament? Like now the Speaker can tell us what to do simply because we're covering Parliament. I don't know what you make of the Speaker's pronouncement and the support that came in from the minority leader.
Well, very regrettable ruling from the Speaker, or directive, if you may put it, from the Speaker.
You're forbidding. I mean, even the word forbidding.
I don't agree with that directive, and I think that in the next few hours or days to come, the minority may want to speak to that matter. If you listen to...
What else would the minority say when the minority leader also agreed with Mr. Speaker?
He didn't. And you can play the tape again. You see, we
listen to him carefully.
Yes, I'll come to that. We must be very careful that the media has come to stay as the fourth branch of democracy. The freedom of the media, press men and women, is very, very important if we want to thrive on our democracy, if we want to travel very far on this democratic journey. Any attempt to gag the media, any attempt to direct the media as regards to what to report and not what to report, would not augur well for our democracy. I think that the Speaker's ruling should be addressed. You can only challenge a ruling from the Speaker with emotion. I don't know if any member would be willing to do that, but I think that the directive, in my view, is not healthy for our democracy, it's not healthy for parliamentary democracy, it's not helpful in any way. If you listen to the minority leader, yes, he urged the media to be responsible to Parliament as an institution, but he also reminded the honorable majority leader who raised the matter that he once did what he's complaining about, granting interviews to media men whilst plenary was in session. That's what I heard the minority leader say. I agree, he said, somewhere he said, I agree with you, Mr. Speaker, that the media needs to be responsible to this institution. You see, let us elevate it even beyond what we saw yesterday. In advanced democracies, media men even grant interviews, even in the corridors and lobbies. It's part of Parliament. And so when we extend invitation to media, we don't invite them to come and cover only proceedings in the chamber, but to cover news from Parliament. To cover news from Parliament. There are even instances where media men are invited into committee meetings to cover. Committee meeting is not plenary. Mr. Speaker himself has been a former member of Parliament, a senior member at that, a lawyer. He understands the relevance of the media in our democracy. And I didn't actually expect that ruling to come from him. But I think that the minority, I can't vouch for that, but I think that in the next few hours or days to come, I would not be surprised if the minority in any form disagrees with the Speaker.
That would be strange, because after the minority leader
what I listened
to speak on the floor for the minority to organize a press conference because of the backlash.
No, I didn't say press conference.
Or come up with their.
I didn't say press conference.
So what would the minority be coming out with?
I cannot make a pledge for and on behalf of the minority when I don't have their mandate to do so. But I'm saying that this ruling is bad.
Okay.
Look,
so, Mr. Kokofu,
it means that when plenary is in session, you can't even go to have a press conference. In fact, we must have respect for dissent. When there are happenings in chamber, whether it relates to a bill for a law or some contract of a sort, we should have respect for dissent. And the only platform for dissent is through the media. That we must respect. I disagree with this.
Mr. Kokofu, I want your take on this. It sounded like Mr. Speaker was whipping the journalists in line, like we belong to one of the sites in Parliament.
Yes, I pity my junior brother this morning. I'm just imagining what he's going to meet out there in the House. When your leader had been on his feet, speaking, and you're sitting here disagreeing with your leader, and that...
Oh, but he also represents a constituency.
Yes, of course, I agree, I agree. This is a matter of parliament, parliamentary proceedings.
What is your position on the ruling?
Please, I kept quiet when you were speaking.
Proceed.
Clearly, having listened to the tape and having listened to the submission of the minority leader, he was in tandem with Mr. Speaker. Whether it was right or wrong, that is another issue.
Do you find something wrong with what Mr. Speaker said?
No, you interrogate that. My colleague finds...
No, I want us to talk about that first, Mr. Kokofu.
Yeah, my colleague here finds everything wrong with it. But unfortunately, he's minority leader, his leader.
So, Mr. Kokofu, you once represented the people of Bantama. What do you make of the submissions?
Let us
the ruling of Mr. Speaker.
Let us situate it here. At his last submission, he said it cannot be done that when plenary is in session, then media is also engaging other things. You ask the first question, let me answer you. Journalists in Parliament are no parliamentarians. Parliamentarians are those who have been elected to office and sworn into office, inclusive the Speaker. So they constitute Parliament. However, for services of Parliament to run and run properly to serve the intended purposes, others are admitted in, including the media. And the media, don't forget, is regulated within the parameters of Parliament. That's why they have Parliament. They have you call it press. The
press corps.
Yes.
Well, are they regulated in terms of contents?
Content.
Are they regulated in contents?
No. Not what you put out there, but they are regulated by behavior and how you go about your things. And indeed, code of ethics by GIJ, I mean the journalists themselves, do some sort of regulation.
Yeah, but they don't tell us what stories to cover.
Yes, but they tell you to be circumspect. They tell you to be circumspect.
That was not an appeal. Mr. Speaker was not making an appeal to tell the journalists that, you know, please be mindful when we have something happening here. He sought to make a ruling and to say that you are forbidding henceforth.
What precipitated all this? In the view of Mr. Speaker and parliamentarians, plenary was in session.
Mr. Kokofu, doesn't matter what happened before.
Yes, of course.
I think it matters what Mr. Speaker said on the day. What we are doing is analyzing what Mr. Speaker said.
You go to court, law court, and the judge makes pronouncement, not out of the blue, out of the proceedings, what happened and all that, the evidence available, adduced and all that. The culprit giving a hearing or something of the sort. So the Speaker did not make pronouncement out of the blue. There must be something that precipitated it. And here we need to interrogate that. And the question, and if you listen to minority leader, he said when the majority leader was in minority, something of the sort happened. You listen to him carefully. So it's like when you what you did in the minority, you were in minority today, we are saying it is wrong.
I've just been reminded that Mr. Speaker himself organizes
press
meetings where the press is invited to cover, and that doesn't happen in the main chamber of Parliament, does it?
Exactly. When the business of Parliament is on in session.
Mr. Kokofu, does Parliament pay the journalists or the media houses that come there to cover so that we are assigned to the main chamber or to the Speaker's directives? Is that what happens? This is a private media deciding, the editor deciding what the news is.
Have you talked to your reporters you send to the various courts? You go to court. You go to court.
Mr. Kokofu, this is not court.
As a journalist.
This is not courts. But you don't take cameras to courts. You are not even supposed to record in courts. It's not the same.
The judiciary is an arm. And Parliament is an arm, don't forget. And the executive is an arm.
It's not same powers, Mr. Kokofu.
And he
they
will tell
operate
you,
differently.
And he will tell you,
so
Parliament are masters of their own rules.
Yes, journalists are masters of their own rules too.
But not in the ambience of Parliament.
Happens,
you don't go and do what you want.
In the editorial session is our business.
That's the point.
That's it.
But you don't go to Parliament and do things that you want. There are rules and regulations to guide you. Even for members of Parliament. That is why the minority leader was in tandem with the
No, he wasn't.
He was.
Don't take refuge in that. Don't take refuge in that. Let me tell you something.
Let us listen. This
is the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. This is the standing orders of Parliament. Nowhere in these two documents is the directive of the Speaker grounded. Not in law and not in our standing orders. The Speaker is not a law unto himself. Please. And so I'm telling you that what he has done, there's nowhere in our standing orders where it is stated that media men are only supposed to cover activities in the chamber or plenary. Nowhere. Nowhere.
That is where you are.
And let me tell you, you see,
when plenary is out of session, when plenary is out of session, you have every right to do whatever you want to do.
I say even in the corridors of Parliament
and Mr. Abdul-Aziz.
People grant interviews.
Yes, when plenary is out of session, you are.
And let me tell you
that.
So you know, one last thing, because you know we have to wrap up.
Let me tell you what actually triggered this. Let me tell you.
If you grant interviews,
it's because of the former
they are yet to come out of the pain, the shock, and disappointment
of what?
Of our decision not to participate in the debate. They can't.
So then, please don't sit here and indict your minority leader.
And disappointment.
Please don't sit here and indict the minority leader.
I have not.
You heard him.
Okay,
him well.
Don't take
refuge in him. Represent the views of your class.
Don't take refuge in him. Listen to him very well.
Listen, play back, girl. Go back.
We will resist oppressors' rule. We will resist authoritarian rule. We will resist anything that is unconstitutional and unlawful.
You are living in the PNDC era.
Thank you.
I'm telling you.
Get awakened. Ghana is not at the PNDC era.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time this morning.
Do they do you a favor? Do they pay you?
Just a reminder. No, just a reminder that Parliament does not pay the media houses, at least for where I'm coming from, and they certainly can't tell us what makes our news or not. I think I think the Speaker should be speaking to the members of Parliament and telling them that when there is activity on the floor of Parliament, I don't want to see anybody go out to organize any other thing, take part in what's happening on the floor. I think the journalist is none of his business. Thank you for watching. Stay with us. We've got more coming out.